Greetings and salutations. It is I, Johnny, episode number 10, season number 2, here on the Who the Heaven Is I podcast, sponsored by The Wizard Cast. Making magic is our business. And, that's the kind of stuff we do at The Wizard Cast. If you want to find out more about it, visit thewizardcast.com. Anyhow, how you all doing today? I was given some feedback from listeners about a theme song. So, I can do a theme song if I get enough, people that want a theme song. I mean, I thought the beauty of this podcast was the minimalistic, simplistic, just approach where I just kind of wake up, record, and get right to it. I can do something like that. I mean, we can do anything in this world, right? We put a man on the moon, or did we, right? So I believe anything is possible. But I also feel like, focus sometimes becomes important. Like going on a road trip, I always tell my kids, safety first, right? And so we all make sure we're buckled up and all that good stuff. But then, the next thing I always focus on is the music. So maybe this should be like the musical episode, right? Like, do I do a jazzy theme song? Do I do a rocky theme song? Do I do a hip-hoppy theme song? Do I make a different theme song every day? Yeah. There was a point during the summer when I was doing this podcast where I would actually include some music from the Soul Pilot. My musical persona, one of my musical personas. And I'm at a point now where, do I want to bring that back, right? And I don't want to get this whole into this whole existential me just thinking about a theme song for a whole episode because there's so much to talk about. Like, hey, we're in the YK2K25, YK 2K25. Yeah, I messed that one up too. Yeah. I'm off my game this morning, and I woke up early, and I went to bed quite well. I was thinking of a friend last night that is a big fan of Saturday Night Live, and as I was thinking of her, she messaged me, which is cool. I have that kind of weirdness about me sometimes when I'm in a state of peace and I'm focused, and I think about people and things. Sometimes they just pop into my life. So there was that, I then fell asleep watching a documentary on Jimi Hendrix because, I was trying to find the Jimmy movie on one of the streaming services that I pay for, the one with Andre 3000 that was done, I think, in 2014. That's just titled Jimmy. Couldn't find it, but I found something I think that was kind of almost better for what I was looking for last night, which was like from 1973. It was like footage of Jimi Hendrix playing and interviewing the band and stuff like that and conversations with him. Now, why do I do that? Well, I like to be inspired by musicians that I believe push the envelope. And I think all musicians push the envelope in some way, shape, or form because they are expressing and they're doing and they're creating, which is a beautiful thing in this universe. But then some do the things that, just go off the charts, like letting your guitar on fire and playing on military bases way too loud that you get, canceled from your own gig. That was Jimi Hendrix, Now, me and him are very similar in some respect in the fact that we both play lefty, although he restrung his guitar. And in the movie, the documentary I was watching, it's kind of funny because they talk about how he used to restring his guitars, right? And then he'd do his thing, but then somewhere between, Monday and the gig on Friday, he would pawn his guitar, and then the band would have to go back and get that specific guitar so he could play because he had to play with the properly restrung guitar because he's a lefty. And that's kind of funny, he knew that the band would save him some way, shape, or form because you ain't going on stage without the guitar player, right? But I think that's interesting in the fact that, he had a method to his gladness. Like he lived his life. Like when you listen to his interviews and the way he speaks, like he's definitely someone that got into his own. He unlocked his soul. And I'm working very diligently on unlocking my soul, just being like quote unquote authentically Johnny. But my challenge becomes that I'm a Pisces, in case any of you are out there with astrology and stuff like that, a water sign. Now, I'm a very fluid guy, and I'm kind of like that guy that can kind of fit in anywhere chameleon style, because much like water, when I'm in the cold, I become ice, and when I'm in the heat, I become steam. I go with the flow, which I guess is kind of me, but my gut and my heart and my soul, like I don't feel comfortable all the time. Like I, as much as I think friends and family think I'm this like outgoing, like bibbity boppity guy, which I can be. More so, I'm very introverted and very private, and I don't share a lot with everyone because my thoughts are very abstract, and I don't think a lot of people would understand a conversation with the things that I think sometimes, because I look at this life as a very magical, very special thing that I'm very appreciative of and for. And I believe that God has given us this gift of life. And as shitty as my life has been the past 4 or 5 years, I'll say that it's also been pretty good in some respects, but it's not the life that I really want. So I'm really still trying to figure out how to get my life back on track when you have half of your life taken away from you. And I wasn't going to really go here, but I kind of was, because, for those of you that follow the podcast, I'm going through this whole divorce thing, and it sucks. It's like the worst thing in the whole wide world. I don't wish divorce on anyone. I do feel that people should really go to school on relationships and marriage and child care and all that stuff, as part of high school, because to me, this is more important. Learning how to care for humans, learning how to care for each other, learning how to, be the best person you can be yourself, I find for me is to be probably one of the most valuable things, because when you can control who you are, control your emotions, control your thoughts, control your actions, then you're in the driver's seat and you're ready to just do whatever you want, right? But in my observations, we've become part of the system because we don't think critically. We just think reactively. Like people just follow the leader and just keep going. That's the way it is. That's the way it was. And this is the whole, basis on the movie Future 86 by Conscious One Entertainment from the Wizard Cast. That we live these dogmatic lives. And I know personally, I don't feel good when I'm living the way that people tell me I should be living, or that everyone else lives, because it just doesn't feel right. I've done it for many years. A lot of people right now, believe that I'm quote unquote I'm lazy because I don't work the way that they do, I don't think the way they do, I don't act the way they do, because I've gone through that stuff for many, many years, and I did everything that I was supposed to do. And it didn't give me the results I wanted. In fact, I'm worse off because of it, I believe, because I've been just following everyone else's playbooks. And, like going back to the whole divorce and marriage thing, it's tough when you're trying, and God is my witness, the universe is my witness, I'm doing the best I can to be compassionate, to be loving, to be honorable to this woman that is the mother of my kids. And at first I was very angry and bitter the way things went down, because quite frankly, I don't feel that she put the effort in that I'm putting in to work on the marriage, the parenting, meeting halfway. And she keeps throwing out, 50-50, 50-50, team. And I tried to explain to her yesterday, when you watch a football game, the quarterback goes on the sideline after they score the touchdown. He doesn't stay on the field trying to tackle people. The safety doesn't stay on the field after they intercept the ball. They hand the ball off to the offense, and they let the offense do the thing. A team doesn't mean everyone's doing the same thing 50% each. And if you look at any relationship, not everyone can do the same things. Like, I'll be the first to tell you, I'm not quite the handyman guy. I'm not the guy that's gonna to hang shelves and build cabinets. I mean, technically, I guess I could if I really put my mind to it. But growing up, that was my father and my brothers. They were the construction dudes. They did all that stuff, which was great, right? Like, that's their skill. And I think my father is kind of upset with me because I didn't embrace the family business. I didn't like getting yelled at work and then coming home to the dinner table and sitting there and hanging out with my boss with the stare. It just didn't feel good. I wanted a relationship with my father that was father and son, not employer-employee. And I don't think he ever understood that concept. I think he took it personal that I didn't want to help, even though anytime I told him, you ever need my help, I'll be there for you, which I was. There's a difference, right? But if you have a skill set where, like, baking cakes or painting is your thing, but then you don't get the support that you need the way you want it because people are trying to make you what they want, it's like trying to make a house cat a horse. Certain things just aren't that, right? And if just because they came from the farm, and they're all animals, oh well, they should be able to do the same things. But that's just not the way life is. And I think this is where, as a human race, I believe we're all missing out on life. I talk to a lot of people. I mean, this isn't just me. Like, I talk to people that are upset, depressed with whether it be relationships or their job, and it's sad for me because I feel like they're such good people. Like my neighbor, he's such a great dude. He works so hard. He works 2 jobs. But I feel like he's like stuck in the hamster wheel. And I really want to help the guy because he's a really nice guy. He's the sweetest dude. Like he really is someone that is compassionate and caring, and he's not a disrespectful guy. Although sometimes, like, he lets his emotions get the best of him. And I think that can be all of us. At one point, it was me to a certain degree. I mean, not to the degree that, some people kind of get emotionally bound up and frustrated, but nonetheless, we all go through the spectrum of emotions. And some people can handle it better than others. I know, I'm speaking for myself personally, I get hung with the heavy heart. Like, anything with relationships and women and girls and just love, man, that is my kryptonite. And meaning, anytime I go through a breakup, it's like, it never ends. And even if it's like a girl I even hung out with just once or twice, like, I'll be stuck on it for a little bit. Like, why didn't this work? Like, I'm not the kind of person that knows how to just, hit it and quit it and just move on. And I mean, that's my life. I wear my heart on my chest. I don't wear it on my sleeve. I wear it straight on the center of my chest. And I don't want to live any other way. I want to live in love. I've been on the dating apps for a little bit now, ever since my future ex-wife said, "Hey, I have no love for you. Go out and find someone else. Make yourself happy," which in theory sounds great, right? But I don't think I'll ever truly be happy until there's peace between me and her in the raising of the kids. But back to what I was saying. I'm in the dating apps, and a lot of the women out there are looking for love. They're looking for long-term romance. They're looking for that they're the hopeless romantic looking for that super connection, right? But when they say they're the hopeless romantic, that to me is a red flag. Why are you hopeless? If there's no hope, then what's the point? And so I think, people just say things sometimes and not thinking about it. I'd like to think that they're all hopeful romantics. If you're listening to this and you're on the dating apps and you are a hopeless romantic, please call the cool line, 650-383-7469, and let, the Who the Heaven Is I podcast know, like, why are you a hopeless romantic instead of a hopeful romantic? Because to me, and this is just the way I was raised, I've always been this, ever since I was a little kid, literally like in kindergarten. I remember literally playing Frosty the Snowman with Tara Rogelski in in kindergarten, and it was one of the best days of my life. Like, because I had the little Frosty hat on, and she was Mrs. Frosty, and this is, I mean, listen, I was 5 years old. But that was the stuff that really appealed to me. The stuff, just having a connection with a woman, that age. I mean, a girl, that was in my class. And granted, Tara didn't talk to me most of the year. But then when the Frosty hat came on, I guess it's kind of like Frosty came to life, But it's one of those things that I've always prioritized love and romance and relationships. Now, is that because of a prior life where I didn't have good relationships, or because I understand the importance of the male and the female, the energies coming together, the yin, yang, the balance of the universe? Because to me, that is a perfect marriage. And albeit when I met my wife, it wasn't like other relationships where I was like head over heels and everything. It was just, I felt at peace with her. It was chill. It was cool. Now, fast forward, she's kind of backtracked on a lot of things from the initial connection, which kind of is a little heartbreaking. She was, I was young, I was foolish. What the heck does that mean? So our whole relationship is a lie? Come on. I feel like A, she's playing the results, but B, she's not being honest. Because if you look at the photos, I felt love. I felt like there was something there, and it was a very bizarre and abstract relationship from the beginning. But that's who I am. I don't always go traditional routes. Like, I've never, in most of my life, have ever gone any traditional route with like anything I've done. It's always been some weird way that it's happened, whether it was becoming the lead in the high school drama club play back when I was in 12th grade. That was an accidental thing. I was with my friend. He wanted to go hang out, and he had to audition for something, so I had to audition too if I was going to hang out with him, waiting for him, and boom. So there was that. I just think about lots of things in my life that just weirdly just happen, or because of my curiosity. And I enjoy it that way more than just the painting by numbers or connecting the dots. That just seems so unadventurous, unexciting, and just boring. Like, let's just say our lives are planned out for us before we even got here, right? Let's just say that's the case. If you knew everything was going to happen, like, hey, today is January 4th, 2025. At 3 p.m. today, I'm going to get a phone call. It's going to change my life. Actually, at 3:07 p.m., I'm going to get a phone call. It's going to change my life in a positive way. And so, if I knew that, then what am I going to do? Just sit around all day long waiting for that phone call? Then I'm not living the life, right? And then it's like, the anxiety of waiting for that call. And then what if the call doesn't happen? And then it comes at 3:15, or maybe it's bad news. It wasn't good news. Like, there's too many variables. And that's why I wake up every morning and I thank God that I'm still in the game, because, hey, I know that there's a chance that I couldn't wake up. I've got, as you get older in this universe, your health isn't as majestic sometimes as it was when you were youthful. Now, I do my best to take care of myself and not abuse substances or foods and stuff like that. And I do my best to get fit, even though I know, well, I'm not going to say I do my best, because if I did my best, I would be more fit. But I do a decent amount. I do my movements. I'm not a gym person per se, and being that I'm in New York right now and don't have access to a pool, I literally am a fish out of water because I love the water. When I was living in the Florida, straight up, I was in the pool almost every morning or every evening. Like that's me. I love being in water. I was telling a friend the other day, I was at my friend Phyllis's house for New Year's, which great party, by the way. Devin, Phyllis, and the squad. It was definitely a fun night. I'd say it's a night to remember, but there's parts of it after one point that I don't remember, which is another story. I don't drink a lot of alcohol these days. And, well, that night I saw photos of me with different cups of different substances. So that's on whoever the bartender was then, because hey, I can't take responsibility for someone pouring me a drink. Well, I guess I can. Yeah, that's a cop out. I take full responsibility for all my actions on New Year's Eve, and I'm just a funny little happy little drunk guy that passed New Year's Eve. But I don't drink like that. I haven't drank like that in a long time. But it's one of those things that in that environment it was fun. We did some trivia, and we did some karaoke, and we had fun. We played some games, bingo. But back to Phyllis's. I was at Phyllis's house, and I was washing the dishes. She's like, "Hey, you don't need to do that, But I was saying, like, I feel better when I'm around water. I don't mind washing dishes, especially when you're not forced to wash dishes. When someone tells you, "Hey, you need to wash those dishes," all of a sudden it becomes like, I ain't washing those dishes. Like when someone tells you have to do something. But by choice, I kind of enjoy washing dishes, A, because I don't like dirty dishes, but B, I do enjoy just being around water. That being said, I don't feel like myself lately because I'm not around the water. So, hey, if you're in the greater New York area, you have access to a pool, and you want to hang out with your buddy Johnny, hey, hit me up on the cool line. But I'm jumping all over the place a little bit. And that's good, though. But that's talking points, right? Like, so there's different things that I put out there. And if there's stuff that you guys want me to talk more about, then, you can always hit me up on the cool line. Call, text 650-383-7469. Yeah, so relationships are crazy. And like me personally, as much as, I'm doing my best to navigate through this difficult time of this divorce, it just pops up and all the time. It's going to keep popping up until her and I can come to resolution. And I can come to resolution, but the challenge becomes that it doesn't seem like she can. She wants what she wants, how she wants it, and there's no budging. And that's not negotiating. Like it's not just what you want. And this is why I think that everyone should go to a school or go to some sort of class while, in high school, like and talk about relationships and talk about marriage and talk about kids and talk about this serious stuff, because it really affects your life. Like before the pandemic, and I was just doing everything that I was doing, everything was fine, right? And then things changed a little bit, right? But then it was almost like I wasn't even connected with her anymore. Like I couldn't even have a conversation with her. And it's how do you communicate with someone that is unwilling to have a conversation? And this goes beyond just my relationship with her. This goes with many people. I find they don't communicate to have conversation. They communicate to express themselves, but their listening mechanism is shut down in the communication process. And that's a big problem for society. I feel if we don't learn how to patiently, and control our emotions and have a conversation, then we're lost as a civilization. This is why, wars happen, and it's sad, because I believe there's good in everyone. Even there's a lot of people that have been hurting me lately. A lot of people that are coming at me. A lot of people that are just, saying hurtful things and doing things and assuming things without having conversation, and then trying to flip the script, be like, hey, you're not taking my feelings into account, which I think is mind blowing, because it's almost like, let's just say, for example, there's a fire, right? And there's a person crying and stuck inside the building, and it's on fire, right? And then a fireman goes in and rescues the boy that's sitting in there crying already, right? And then as they're out there, the paramedics are there, and they're consoling the boy who literally lost his everything in his room. All his toys are burnt up, and his house is gone, and stuff like that. And him and the firefighter are standing there next to each other, and the people are asking the boy, are you okay? Is everything, how can we help you? And then the firefighter goes, but what about me? I was in the fire too, Yeah, but you're going home to your wife and kids, firefighter, right? Like, you're not, like, still in the fire. You didn't lose everything. And so, like, while, yes, you do have feelings, like, you're not in the fire. And so to throw that out there, where, like, sometimes, like, when I'm going through stuff, like, people will be like, well, what about me? Yeah, that's great. Like we could talk about you, but, like, right now, like, I'm going through some shit. I'm trying to get back on my feet. And it seems like everyone surrounding me wants to use things that they've learned in life, whether it be religious stuff or stuff they've learned in school, and hold it against me, as opposed to try to help me. And that's just mind-blowing, Like, I literally feel sometimes I'm, like, in this game all by myself. And I said the last episode was, like, the bad place. Like, Earth is tough. Like, Earth will come at you. And it's like, if you're not sure of who you are and what you want to be, then you'll get broken down and put back into the assembly line. And that's not what I want to do. I'd rather... I don't mean this by no means do I mean this in a suicidal way or in a way where I don't enjoy life and don't want to live anymore. But if I'm being forced to live a certain way that everyone has to live without being able to express myself, without being able to have a conversation with people and them accept me for who I am, then really what is the point of living? Because then I'm just a tool. I'm just a shell, I'm just moving the machine along. And that's what's the point of life? I don't think that God gave us this divine spark and this free will to just, okay, now go be like all the other sheep and go have a day. No. There's a reason why they said, Jesus, kind of was the shepherd, kind of helping the sheep, I'm not saying I'm Jesus. I don't get this whole conversation going again. But I do believe we all have capacity to be compassionate like Jesus. And I do believe we all have the capacity to be caring and not take things personally when people are going through things and might say things that might be off, that don't align with what you're thinking, because everyone on this universe has a different perspective. There's no two people that have the same perspective, because everything is from a different vantage point. And coming back to things, I live with my heart on my chest, and it's one of the toughest things I have to do in my life, because I don't want to live like a heartless person. I don't want to also be a doormat, a revolving door of just like giving away everyone what they want and what they need without, my own needs being, satisfied or met, because that's what's happened in a lot of my life. Like, I go out of my way just to make everyone happy, and that's cool, right? Because that's really what makes me happy, is seeing other people happy. But then what happens is, when you spend all the energy and they're still not happy, then I feel empty, and then it's like, what am I doing wrong that they're not happy? But it's not me. Like, I think that some people are just unhappy people. Like, I have, a friend that's very angry a lot of the time, that I try to figure out, like, where's the thorn in this lion's paw that needs to be pulled that makes this person so angry a lot of the time? And don't get it. No matter how much good I do, it doesn't mean anything, because if I'm not there to pull out the thorn, then all of a sudden it comes back at me, and then I become depressed again. It's like, wait a second. So I'm learning the separation between my emotions and other people's emotions, but still doing my best to be compassionate and caring. But I got to put up the armor and just not get sucked into their drama that they can control, that straight up that they haven't. And this is kind of where life becomes a crazy puzzle. It's kind of like an MC Escher photo or painting, drawing, whatever you want to, call it. MC Escher, if you don't know, does this really surreal, really surreal artwork where you can't tell the difference between the beginning and the end on some of the stuff, and it's mind blowing, and I do believe we're all here meant to support and help each other, but we all need to help ourselves as well, and it's that balance that's the challenge. Like, yes, I want to help and support other people, but in the same token, I want to make sure that I'm completing my mission at hand, and I'm getting better. I think I'm getting better. I mean, I feel better. Like normally after a conversation like last night with my future ex-wife, like I'd be derailed for a while. But it is what it is. It's the really freaking sad thing is that, and a lot of people don't understand this. It's hard for me to be part of my boys' lives with her not working as a team because they get turned against me. And a lot of people might not understand this. They might say it's a freaking cop-out, and hey, judge me how you want. But I know if I could be at peace and be down there and not have her impede on me being me, then I'd be there in a heartbeat. But what happened when I was there, it was a lot of, if I didn't do what she wanted, then I'd be screwed, and things would be kind of thrown at me, and it's not right. Like, I've never told her how to live or how to do her things, and I've supported her the best I can. Whenever she was going to school, hey, how can I help you? Always supporting, going above and beyond. And I know that she's a loving and caring person, but straight up, I don't feel that she's ever really, accepted me for who I am, mainly because of the trauma that she went through as a kid. And this is something where I give her the pass, but I don't give her the pass because of the fact that, when you get to be 40, 50 years old, at what point do you say, holy shit, I got to be accountable for my actions? And some of my actions are created because of everything that I went through when I was younger. So, like that's why I am the way I am now. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize this. Because some people don't ever get out of the system of life of just, waking up, going to work, coming home, eating dinner, going to bed, And granted, I've kind of gone on the other scale of that whole methodology, but that's only because I did that for many, many years, and my body broke down, the work wasn't coming through anymore, and things that, this is where I kind of feel like I'm in this bad place. Like, it's like I did everything I could for the companies that I work for, and it still wasn't enough, And I think probably because my calling is different than what I was doing, because I know that when I do what I feel I should be doing, and I don't let the noise of everything else come around me and the stress, and I just stay joyous and I stay happy, things do kind of fall into place for me. The past couple of weeks are a good testament to that. Like, when I'm focused on what I need to be doing and not thinking about future stuff, then I work a lot better. But if I'm just so focused on the future, like for example, like I didn't get the chance to see my boys for Christmas, and I almost had opportunity to, but it was very convoluted, and I there's definitely people that were trying to help me get down to Florida and stuff like that, but I'm not looking for a handout. I'm not looking for people to kind of just pave my way for me. Like, I've worked too hard in my life to become that, and I need to convert what I'm doing into who I am. And I know that makes no sense right now because I haven't started selling my soul yet. I've said in this episode how many times that, hey, I'm going to start selling my soul, my soul tokens and this and that, because that, I believe, is my way out of my own personal hell. It's just me being me for business, as opposed to, punching in a clock for someone else. Now, that being said, I have no problem doing the punching in the clock and doing these stuff for other people. I enjoy working for other people, but it also limits what my goal and my mission is on this world, which dun dun dun, cliffhanger, to be continued. Tomorrow, Super Sunday Fun Day, I'll release the episode of my mission. I'll give a mission statement. Okay, I'll tell you what my mission is. This way, there's no problem, because I think when it comes to communication, and I'm a very complex individual, that straight up, sometimes it's one of those things where if, in fact, we don't share the thoughts in our heads, then people start assuming stuff, because most people will not ask questions. They'll just assume. And that's sad to me for a multitude of reasons. I'm one of those dudes that'll ask questions, but then on the reverse of that, most people won't answer questions if they don't feel comfortable being authentic and vulnerable. So there's that. So, I think I went pretty deep on this one here. Oh yeah, 36 minutes. Wow. So, theme song. Okay, I'll give you a theme song on the way out, because I'll drop this into GarageBand real quick and drop a little theme song, just because people like music. And that's something that I do here. I love music, and I love you for listening. Thank you for listening. I know you didn't have to spend 36 minutes and some odd seconds with me for this podcast today. And I know the podcast goes a little bit all over the place, and maybe one day when I'm older, wiser, and even more at peace, I'll go back and listen to it and laugh and go, oh yeah, I remember that. Or I might even say, that wasn't me. That was aliens taking over my voice and recording this, and there's that. But nonetheless, I hope you all have a blessed day, and I will talk to you all sometime between now and later.
Now and later. This is the Who the Heaven Is I outro song. I know you wanted it. It's been so long. So I bust a beat that's kinda sweet. Better brush your teeth, 'cause you know that my sword's coming out of the sheath. I'm slaying it, I'm playing it. Get on the scale, you're weighing it, 'cause you know it's 2 tons of fun. The Who the Heaven Is I podcast is now over. So what you gonna do? Call the cool line 650-383-7469. That's right, you can call the cool line for a good time, and I'm bouncing out with this no rhyme. Yeah, there's a little bit of delay, and I'm just spitting this off the top of my head. So, I'll work out something else for you all later, but hopefully this has been more than suffice for you, my friends, and my enemies, whoever else is listening. I don't know who else listens to this. I imagine you're somewhat friendly, right? But nonetheless, this is the Who the Heaven Is I podcast outro song for January 4th, 2K25. I keep it live, or not, because I'm bouncing out. Peace, love, happiness, and whatever else comes to your mind. All right. This loop is just, it's going, yeah, boom, bouncing in, bippity bop, dip bop, dip bop, da. Now it's the end. All right, thanks again for listening. Have a great night and a pleasant tomorrow. And don't forget to visit thewizardcast.com, because making magic is our business.